Has it been a day and now you still have to make dinner? I've got you covered. Hey everyone! So on today's Meal Idea Monday, we are going to be making just a little twist on a sheet pan meal, and all you need is a few ingredients that you probably have in your pantry or in your fridge or in your freezer. So let's get started. So on today's sheet pan meal, I'm going to be using kielbasa sausage. Now you can use beef, pork, you can use bratwurst if you want to. I'm a big fan of turkey kielbasa. It just brings a lot of flavor to the party. We'll be adding in a couple onions. Yellow onions I'm using today. You can use whatever your preference is. A diced up sweet potato. You can use white potato if you please, but I have sweet potato, so we're bringing that to the party. Some leftover mushrooms I had in the fridge, and that will be about it. Now you can add in whatever vegetable you want. I'm a big fan of zucchini or summer squash, either the green or the yellow, or bell peppers. Green, yellow, orange, red, whatever your favorite is. If you want to put it in here, go for it. I'm going to start with cutting up the sausage. Now, we're going to be strategic on how big we cut everything, because the onion is going to take longer to cook than the sausage. We are going to make sure we cut the sausage up bigger than we cut up the onion. Same thing with the sweet potato. The sweet potato is probably going to take the longest to cook and get it tender, so we're going to cut this up into small pieces. You can always cut the sausage up smaller once it's cooked and on your plate, or before you plate it. So we're just going to cut it into maybe 2-inch pieces so that we don't want it to dry out while it's cooking. And cutting it into bigger pieces will help with that. Now I'm just going to set this aside on my foiled sheet pan for now, and we'll come back to it. Now, since the sausage is already seasoned, that's why I set it aside on the sheet pan. But for the rest of the ingredients and whatever other vegetables you use, we're going to season those separately so that we're not relying on just the sausage to have flavor. Now, again, the mushrooms don't take very long to cook, so these are just baby portobello mushrooms. I'm not even going to cut these because they are small to begin with, and I don't want them to be overcooked necessarily. I just want them to keep their texture. Next up, we're going to do 2 onions. You can do 1 if you want, but I really like the taste of roasted onions, so I'm just going to do 2 to bulk up our meal and to bring flavor to the party. If there's ever any bad spot on your vegetables, you don't have to throw the whole thing away. Just cut off the bad part. Now, this is where our strategy on how big we're going to cut the vegetables comes into play. So like I said, the sweet potato is going to take a lot longer to cook, so I'm going to keep the onions pretty big as well because they'll cook faster than the sweet potato. Oh my goodness, I'm starting to cry. I usually have my contacts in, and the contacts block whatever is in the onion from making me cry, but I'm wearing my glasses today and we're getting weepy over here. Maybe if you have some safety glasses, that might be a wise life choice when you're cutting up your onions. I just like to break apart my onions so that they cook more evenly, and so that I can coat them with the seasoning that we're going to put on them, so that in every bite you're getting all that flavor. You don't have to do this. Again, if you're in a rush, or you just don't have the energy to be this tedious, just chop them into like 1-inch chunks and toss them in your bowl. Okay, now we have our sweet potato. I'm not going to peel it at all. There's a lot of nutrients in the skin of your vegetables. The one thing I will do is I'm just going to run it under some water and give it a good scrub just to get off any dirt that might be left on there. Alright, so we're just gonna, you can just cut off any nubs that are on your sweet potatoes. And then remember, this is going to take the longest to cook, and we want everything to cook and be done at about the same time. So I'm gonna cut these into smaller chunks, maybe about a half-inch cubes, but just eyeball it. All right, so if you're eating a low-carb diet right now, you can even keep out any potato and just do vegetables and meat. You have that option. This recipe idea is so versatile. It's basically throw in whatever you have. Same for the sausage. If you are vegan and you want to use vegan sausage, be careful, because I've made this before and I tried a vegan sausage and the sausages came out rock hard. So if you know a good plant-based sausage that doesn't dry out when you bake it, let me know. Leave a comment down in the description and let me know. But it's an option. You could even do tofu or tempeh, just whatever you want. If you do use the tofu or the tempeh, either marinate it first or cut it up and put it in your bowl with your vegetables so that you can season it. Into our bowl of veggies, we're gonna oil it up a little bit. The oil just helps, it gives it a little flavor. Fat is flavor, but it's also going to help us get our seasonings to stick. So we're gonna do just some salt. Some pepper. And steak seasoning is awesome. This is just one from Aldi. You can get any plain old steak seasoning. It brings that hearty flavor to your vegetables, kind of that umami, meaty flavor to your vegetables. So I would highly recommend. And then we're going to toss this so we get all the bits and pieces well coated with flavor. Ooh, last one. Awesome, that looks good. So the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to dice up a garlic clove, and it doesn't necessarily have to be mixed in with the veggies. You can just sprinkle it over the top of your sheet pan, but I'm going to chop that up now. All right, it doesn't have to be perfect, just get it pretty fine, unless you really like big chunks of garlic, which go for it if that's what you like. Now we are going to get this onto our pan. So we call this a sheet pan recipe, and usually how those work is you just put all of your ingredients onto your sheet pan and you just pop it in the oven and roast it. Now, I like to try to maintain a lot of the moisture, so for that reason, I'm actually going to make a packet using foil. So how this works is I'm just going to dump everything on top of one piece of foil, and then I'm going to put the other piece of foil on top of it and crimp the edges, and that really seals in a lot of moisture. This recipe is also awesome if you want to cook it on the grill or on the coals of a fire if, say, you're camping, and then you get a little bit of that fire flavor onto your meal. But that can bring another element to your meal. So let's go for it. So one last thing that I think is key to getting a ton of flavor into this recipe is butter. Just again, fat is flavor, and who doesn't like butter? So just a couple tablespoons are good. Sometimes the extra large foil is a better idea, but this is what we're working with today, so bear with me. Okay, so if you're putting these packets over the coals of a fire, or if you want to put the foil straight onto your grill, I would cut this into 2 packets unless I had the extra long foil. So make sure you have a large piece of foil, and then if you have little packets, you can just fold it onto itself, or like I did, have 2 pieces of foil and just kind of burrito it in there. So my oven is set at 400 degrees. Since it's in a packet, temperature really doesn't matter. 350, 450. Because of the sweet potatoes, I don't want to put the temperature up to 450 because I want everything to cook through. I'm just baking it at 400 degrees for about, I'll probably have it in there for 30 minutes. Because it's in the foil, I'm not worried about it drying out or burning because most of the steam, most of the moisture is going to stay in there. It'll be able to escape a little bit here and there, but you're gonna be fine. This is another great thing about this recipe. Whatever ingredients you have in the house, whatever seasonings, herbs, and spices you want to use, temperature is less picky unless you're roasting it. If you're roasting it, go to about 425. Make sure you oiled everything so it gets a nice brown on it, and then just pop it in the oven for 30 minutes. You don't have to stand and watch it. You can go take care of something while you're waiting for it to be done, which is what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna pop this in the oven, and I'll see you guys back here in a little bit. Alright, let's be very careful of the steam that can burn you. Oh my goodness, it smells incredibly rich in this kitchen. So good. Look at that. Alright, so potatoes are most important. So find a big potato chunk and see if your fork goes into it easily. Nope. Mine are still pretty firm, so we're going to pop it in for about 7 more minutes. Again, be careful of the steam. Pull the foil away. Let's see about these taters. That's kind of nice. There we go. Awesome. Let it cool off, but you're good to go. If you want to brown this at all, after you make sure it's all cooked, you can pop it back in the oven maybe for about 5 minutes and bump your temperature up to 450 to get a little bit of a brown on your sausage and onions and everything. Now when you taste it, if it's not salty enough or it needs more seasoning, go ahead and put seasoning on it. That's another perk of this recipe. If you don't get the seasoning just right at the beginning, you can always add it once it's on your plate or once it's in your serving dish. Give it a try. Let me know what meat or what meat substitute you like to use or what vegetables you like to use. All in all, the temperature should be 425 of your oven. Put it in for about 30 minutes. If you want it to cook faster, cut your onions smaller and cut your potatoes smaller and it'll cook faster. There you go. Easy peasy. Easy meal to do when you don't want to make dinner. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to stick around and see what videos I'm going to have up in the future, please subscribe and enjoy your dinner.